At the commencement of this narrative, a young boy is depicted who has just regained his consciousness. He finds himself in an elevator that is swiftly ascending. He has absolutely no idea where he is or where the elevator is heading, and then it abruptly halts. Several boys of his age group open a hatch from above and assist him in getting out of the elevator. He doesn't comprehend where he is, so he begins to run and eventually stumbles. When he stands up and surveys his surroundings, he observes towering walls encircling him. It's entirely impossible to climb over it. Subsequently, he is placed into a wooden cell where another boy approaches him. The boy introduces himself saying, "My name is LV, don't attempt to escape from here," and he also inquires about his name. However, he cannot recall anything about himself or his own name. LV reassures him not to worry, as everything will be alright in a couple of days. This occurs to everyone who is new here. He also asks LV about the nature of this place, and LV takes him outside with him. He mentions that we cultivate crops in this place, reside here, and rest here, and for any essential items we require, we dispatch them in a container. It's the identical container in which you arrived, and whenever they send provisions, they accompany them with an individual, just as they did with you on this occasion. Now, this boy notices a passageway between the towering walls and inquires about the nature of this path. LBU advises him to remember 3 important things. Never squander your time, remain focused on your tasks, and secondly, never cause harm to anyone. Never venture to the opposite side of that formidable wall. However, this boy desires to depart from here. He inquires, where does the pathway between the walls lead? What lies beyond these walls? As he proceeds toward that path, a young boy approaches and halts him. He says, "You are not allowed to go there. None of us are permitted to go there." Subsequently, 2 boys come sprinting from within, and the young boy informs him that he is distinct from us. He is a runner. They have the ability to enter the maze. It signifies a labyrinth, and he is astonished to hear this. He inquires, "What did you mention regarding the maze?" He responds, "I didn't say anything of that sort," and then he begins to proceed inside. But at that moment, LB arrives and prevents him from entering. However, he is eager to go inside, and just as he is about to enter, the passageway begins to close. In reality, it is a type of door linked to a mechanism, and the gears of the machine above commence to rotate, and shortly thereafter, both walls converge and seal entirely. Now, during the nighttime, all the individuals present here, they all consume food, drink beverages, and engage in dancing, and subsequently, a boy approaches the one who has arrived here for the very first time today and hasn't even recalled his name yet. A boy comes up to him and indicates some other boys. He mentions that they are all runners. Each morning they run within the maze, attempting to discover a way out, and they have been doing this for the past 3 years. However, they have not achieved success as of now. These entities are extremely powerful, distinct from us, and if any runner becomes ensnared within the maze prior to evening and fails to return, they are never seen again. As he articulates all of this, an unusual wind begins to gust and he inquires, "Do you perceive that sound?" In reality, the pathways within the maze are altering. Each night, the entire maze undergoes transformation, orchestrated by the same individuals who have confined us here. Now, both of them proceed to that location. What exactly are these runners? They are individuals who engage in competition with one another, and among them there exists a runner by the name of Gally. Gally challenges the newcomer, saying, "Let's have a go," and thus a competition is initiated between them. During this contest, Gally accidentally knocks the new girl to the ground. The boy falls on his head and suddenly recalls that his name is Thomas. He announces, "My name is Thomas." Upon hearing this, everyone is pleased because he has remembered his name. The following day, Thomas is collaborating with the other boys and he inquires if, has DC attempted to ascend over the walls? He responds that no individual has succeeded in climbing, as they have made attempts, but the ladders are insufficiently tall to reach the top. Consequently, Thomas inquires if anyone has attempted to escape utilizing the lift he arrived in. He is then informed that whenever someone occupies that lift, it never descends. All avenues have been exhausted, yet there remains only a singular path out of this place, and that is through the maze. Now Thomas is dispatched to procure fertilizer because here, fruits, vegetables, and everything else is. When Thomas proceeds to retrieve the fertilizer, one of the boys who had ventured inside the previous day and is a runner suddenly assaults him. This boy harbors the intent to kill Thomas. Thomas, however, somehow manages to evade the attack and make his way outside, but the boy persists and attacks Thomas once more. At this point, everyone congregates there. LB, who serves as the leader of the group, also arrives on the scene, and collectively they apprehend the boy. LB instructs them to lift the boy's shirt, and upon doing so, a sting mark is revealed on his body. Place it in a container like this, and at this moment, we come to understand that there is something extremely perilous within this maze. Thomas and LP are seated together, and LP inquires if he mentioned anything during the assault. Thomas responds that he claimed to have seen him and that everything was his fault. How could this possibly be my fault? LP explains that it's entirely due to the infection. He's merely uttering random things. In the evening, as the doors of the maze are on the verge of closing, everyone assembles in front of the doors. And just like that, he is forcibly sent into the maze because he can no longer be saved. There exists no cure for his condition. Although he tries to convince everyone that he will get better, everyone knows there is no remedy for it, and they have lost a runner. Runners hold significant importance here because they are the individuals who venture into the maze and can potentially discover a way out for them. Although they couldn't do it in 3 years. Now, the next day, LV also goes inside the maze. Although he is not a runner, he hasn't done this before, but he has a responsibility. Actually, LB is the person who came here first. Every month, one person is sent here, and when LB was sent here, there was no one else. He spent the entire month alone here, and after that, when people were sent here one by one, he created a whole different world for everyone, and now LB is inside it. As evening descends, LB and his fellow companion have yet to make their return. Everyone is extremely anxious and the mess doors begin their gradual closure. However, just before the doors are entirely sealed, the lead runner Minu and LB make their appearance. LB's condition is quite severe and Minu is endeavoring to drag him along. Now, with the doors on the verge of closing, they are unable to reach this side of the doors. To assist Thomason, he ventures into the maze and immediately upon entering the maze, they entirely merge with the wall, and now all three individuals find themselves trapped within. LB's condition is extremely critical due to also having been stung, and a horrifying sound reverberates, emanating from the very creature that stung LB. The runner accompanying Thomas insists that they must depart immediately, or they will face the same fate. Nevertheless, Thomas is reluctant to abandon LV, and he observes substantial vines on the wall ahead. He secures Thomas to them and suspends him over the wall, but by that time, the creature arrives. The creature eventually arrives. The runner swiftly flees to preserve his own life, while Thomas conceals himself beneath the wall. They are referred to as drivers, and once they sting, there is absolutely no escape. This creature notices Thomas, and now the walls begin to transform. This signifies that the entire maze is altering its course. The walls are in motion, and when two paths are on the verge of converging, Thomas dares that creature towards him, and as it advances to attack him, Thomas dashes through that path. The grievous pursuit of Thomas goes awry, and the walls close in. In the early morning, it is revealed that everyone assembles in front of the maze, yet everyone is convinced that these three individuals cannot emerge now because nobody has ever endured the whole night within the maze. Remaining one night signifies death, but the following morning, the trio manages to survive. They all emerge, although LB's condition is extremely poor. He is unconscious, yet still breathing. Even though Thomas saved LB's life, there is a boy named Gally who is not pleased at all with Thomas's actions because he violated the rule. Nobody is allowed to enter the maze without explicit permission, and he insists that there must be a consequence for this violation. Suddenly, a siren blares, and it is the alarm of the very same elevator that transports someone here each month. Upon arriving, they are utterly astonished because, for the very first time, a girl has been sent here. When the young girl regains her consciousness, the sole name she utters is Thomas. The moment she mentions Thomas's name, she loses consciousness once more. Accompanying her is a note indicating that she is the final one. No additional individuals will be sent here after her. Thomas is unfamiliar with this girl because prior to anyone being sent here, all their previous memories are wiped clean. Consequently, none of the survivors present here have any recollection of their past. Thomas now desires to venture into the maze once again because the griever that became ensnared in the wall the previous night He desires to examine the creature that perished while ensnared. Thomas, Minho, and a few children arrive at the location and observe that within the griever's body there exists a device with numerals inscribed on it, and these numerals correspond to those on the box. This is the very box through which each individual was transported here sequentially. Thus, the same individuals responsible for sending them here also engineered this creature known as the griever. They extract this device, and upon emerging, they appoint Thomas as a runner as well. Only runners are allowed to enter this maze. However, there is one boy who disagrees. His name is Gally. He does not want Thomas to be made a runner, but now Thomas is a runner. He can go inside the maze at any time. The next morning, Minho, who is a runner, takes Thomas inside a cottage. No one is allowed to enter here, and he shows Thomas the map of the maze. He says that for the past 3 years, they have explored every corner of it, and based on that, they have made these maps. But they haven't found a way out yet. It appears that there seems to be no apparent way out, and LBA had strictly forbidden me from disclosing this information to anyone because he didn't want the hope of escaping from this place to be shattered. However, now that we have discovered this device inside that creature, which has the numeral 7 inscribed on it, inside the maze there are distinct blocks numbered 1 through 8, and every night a new block opens, completely altering the path of the maze. The number 7 on the device signifies that the griever we killed last night originated from block number 7. That means if it came in from there, the way out is there. He says that we both will go there, and just then a child comes and says that the girl has regained consciousness. Thomas goes to the platform where the girl is, and she isn't letting anyone near her. Thomas calms her down and asks her name, but she doesn't remember anything. Although after regaining consciousness, she mentioned Thomas's name, she doesn't know him. Thomas tells her, "I have dreams at night, and I've seen you many times in my dreams. I thought they were dreams, but they are actually memories." It appeared as though they were merely dreams, but they are not simply dreams. They are indeed memories. This girl, whose name is Teresa, informs Thomas that she had 2 syringes in her pocket, and she hands them over to Thomas. On this series, it is inscribed WCKD, and the device they discovered inside the creature's tree also bears the inscription WCKD. This implies that the individuals who constructed this place, the ones responsible for creating the griever, have dispatched this series here. He brings the series to LB, whose condition is extremely poor. He is on the verge of dying. That's the reason Thomas suggests that we ought to administer this unfamiliar medicine into LB's body, and during this process, LB suddenly attacks him. He insists that they should leave to get away from there, and the woman accompanying them, the girl named Teresa, quickly grabs the syringe from his hand and injects it into LB's body, which completely calms him down, indicating that the medicine is effective and he is improving. The following morning, Thomas and Minho venture into the maze, and upon reaching block number 7, the device they possess, the beeping noise begins emanating from the apparatus that emerged from the creature's abdomen. Thomas suggests that it could potentially be attempting to guide them, so they proceed in accordance with it. However, a barrier materializes ahead, signifying the route has concluded. Subsequently, the illumination on the device transitions from red to green, and a fresh pathway emerges from the wall. It is their initial occasion arriving at this location, and they observe an additional route opening with a light emanating from it. It scans both individuals, and following the scan, the computer discerns that it is not a griever but instead a human being, and slowly the doors begin to close. They commence sprinting because if they do not manage to escape, they will become trapped and potentially perish in this location. The entire maze is rapidly transforming, yet somehow they manage to run and successfully escape from the maze. Once outside, they inform everyone that they have discovered a new pathway, and perhaps the grievers venture there during the daytime, and maybe that is the only way out of this maze. Avel regains full consciousness. He is entirely fine now, and when everyone proceeds to LB, Thomas informs LB that they have the potential to escape from this place. LB responds that no one is capable of leaving from here. I recall everything now. The individuals who sent us here, you are among them. In fact, whenever a griever stings someone, they recall everything. That's the reason LB knows everything. But before LB can elaborate further, a child arrives and announces that today the doors haven't closed and it's already dark. That signifies grievers have the capability to come to this location as well. Everyone proceeds outside and launches an attack on the grievers. They successfully eliminate several of them, and even when everyone is concealed inside a protective cage within a cave, the grievers take Albie with them. This implies that Albie is now deceased. Nevertheless, during this period they manage to obtain a griever's sting, which resembles a syringe, and now Thomas desires to uncover what his past entails. He wishes to regain his memories, so he deliberately injures himself with the syringe, and as it penetrates his body, he starts to remember. He recollects the past events, and upon awakening the following morning, he discovers himself within a cage where the girl named Teresa is also located. In fact, there is a boy named Gally who harbors a strong dislike for Thomas, and he is now persuaded that Thomas is a member of the group that dispatched them here, believing that everyone's life is endangered due to Thomas. Thomas explains to Teresa that this is not a prison but rather a form of test, and it has been ongoing since they were quite young. Scientists were conducting experiments on us, and then one by one, everyone started disappearing. In fact, they are sent here. Teresa and I used to work with those same people. Minu asks, "Why were you sent here then?" He says that he doesn't know anything about it. Teresa is also surprised to hear that all these kids are here today because of them. But still, Minu and some kids are with Thomas. Minu tells Thomas to finish what he started because if LB were alive, he would have wanted the same. But now, after LB's death, the new leader here is Gally, who doesn't like Thomas at all. That's why he wants to kill Teresa, but the others support Thomas and stop Gally from doing so. Thomas says that they are leaving this place. They have one last chance. If you want to come with us, you can, but Gally and some of his friends don't want to join them. Thomas, Teresa, Minho, and many others have now entered the maze because they want to escape from there. They have found a new path, and when they reach there, upon their arrival, they encounter numerous grievers present there. These creatures launch an attack on everyone. Gradually, they progress towards a door that necessitates a core for it to be opened, and subsequently, Thomas informs Minho that this entire maze comprises 8 distinct blocks, which open in a specific sequence. He requests Minho to provide that particular sequence, and once it is dialed in, the door opens, causing the grievers advancing towards them to be crushed beneath the wall, and they find themselves in a dimly lit room. Following this, they face yet another door. They initiate their progression through the doorway. The lighting gradually turns on, and above the entrance, it reveals exit, which brings joy to everyone. As they proceed through the door, they notice numerous bodies strewn about and find themselves inside a scientific facility outfitted with large-scale machinery. There is a device with a fingerprint scanner, and when Thomas places his finger on it, a woman appears on the screen. She says, "If you are watching this video, it signifies that you have successfully completed Trial 1, which was the maze trial. You may be extremely upset about what we subjected you to. However, there is a justification for all of this that you might not recall. The intense heat of the sun scorched our planet. Countless lives were lost, but it didn't stop there. Subsequently, a perilous virus emerged in this world, which targeted people's minds. Individuals became violent, uncontrollable, and there was no remedy for it anywhere. And then we observed a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. We endeavored to discover a remedy for it, but it proved to be quite challenging. The upcoming generation will need to endure numerous trials and confront challenging situations so that we can analyze their minds. Here, everyone comprehends that this is an integral component of the experiment where they are attempting to uncover the cause of the virus within the mind. The medical professional mentions that you may have numerous uncertainties swirling in your mind, but shortly all of your uncertainties will be resolved. This marks the commencement of this examination. It requires time, but for us, it is already too late. The external world is anticipating your arrival, and then it is revealed behind the medical professional that several individuals enter and commence eliminating all the medical professionals who are employed there. The medical professional who is elucidating everything, named Dr. Ava, takes her own life. Everyone is astounded, and when they glance back, they still observe. Riva's lifeless body is lying there, suggesting that this tragic event occurred not too long ago. The whole operating system, responsible for sending all the individuals into the maze, is continuously observing them. Before they can fully comprehend the situation, Gally enters. He had not come inside previously, but remained there, clutching a firearm. His intention is to eliminate Thomas. He is uncontrollable because a griever had stung him, and following the griever's sting, his memories have resurfaced. She had come to the realization that Thomas was indeed a member of the identical team, the team that the organization had dispatched all of them to this location. When Thomas had deliberately injured himself using the griever's sting to recall his past memories, he was able to recover because there was a single syringe remaining from the supplies. Now Gally fires at Thomas, but Minho intervenes with his weapon. However, when Gally discharged his firearm at Thomas, a child who held deep affection for Thomas stepped in front. His name was Chuck, and the bullet struck Chuck, which led to Death occurs. Right then, some people wearing masks arrive, armed, and take everyone with them in a helicopter from this place. Meanwhile, Dr. Eva is shown, who had shot herself in the video. Many people are seated in front of her, and she tells them that our maze trial was completely successful. I didn't expect so many people to survive, but the more children, the better for us. And now, all of them are ready for the next challenge. However, it would be premature to say that this is our upcoming. As there are still numerous challenges awaiting them, it signifies that they must progress to phase 2. With this scene, the narrative of the movie reaches its conclusion. Kindly let me know in the comments below which movie you would like to hear about next, as I attentively read your comments. Thank you very much for your wonderful comments.